Hey, hey, hey. This is Tiff, and welcome to Democracy, where we talk about the democracy, all of the different things. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm quite comfortable. What we're going to do is go over this week in politics. Mind you, we're doing this. Hey, Riz. Hey, hey. What we're going to do is look at some clips so that you understand and you can see what your government is doing. It's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy week. The one thing that I'm not covering is the slush fund because I have to kind of process that, and I want to make a less emotional commentary. I know for certain that it's gonna peeve me off. So we're gonna go through some of the clips, just see what's going on with the U.S. government. Um, it's been a wild ride. That's what I'll say. It's been a time. It's been a time. But when is it not a time? When when our leader is, he is who he is. He do what he do. He is who he is. He do what he do. So let's go ahead and continue.
Russia or China taking their stockpile of highly enriched uranium, and have they offered?
So this was from the cabinet meeting that he did on Wednesday. And if you go back and look and see, you will see where your boy was falling asleep. But just kind of listen to what they're asking.
No, I wouldn't be comfortable.
Mr. President,
That would not make me comfortable.
is the U.S. considering easing sanctions on Iran to allow Iran to sell its crude to market?
No, we're not talking about any easing of sanctions or giving money, no sanctions, no money, no nothing. We have control of money that they claim is theirs. We'll keep control of that money. When they behave properly and when they do what's right, we'll let them have their money. But right now, we're not doing that, and it's not.
And what he's talking about is we have $25 billion of Iran. $25 billion. I'm trying to make this go faster, y'all, but it doesn't look like it wants to. It's okay. We'll just continue to watch. I find him intolerable, but let's just continue.
One thing is not contingent on the other.
Mr. President, on the shooting last weekend, it came barely a month after the third assassination attempt against you during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. What was your reaction when you first heard about the latest shooting, and what gives you the courage to really keep doing your job effectively without thinking about these threats every day?
Well, I can't think about it because if I thought about it a lot, I wouldn't be a very good president. I wouldn't be here, probably. I'd be up in some room with a locked door and said, just leave me alone. So I can't really think about it. If it's such something that it's a sad part of life. It's a dangerous business. What I'm doing is a dangerous business. And they say, and now look, we have been maybe the most consequential, but we certainly have been one of the most consequential. This group has been a very consequential administration. And they say if you're not consequential, you don't have so much problem. If you are consequential.
What is he talking about? What is he talking about? What are you talking about?
Consequential you do. So you have to look at that. But it's a shame. It's a very sad fact of life. Look, anybody in office, not only in this country, in other countries too, but when you are a consequential president, your life is in grave danger. I knew that. Yeah.
Mr. President, how would you characterize the current state of the talks with Iran? I guess if it were a football field, what yard line would you be on?
Well, I think we're doing very well. I think they are starting to give us the things that they have to give us. And if they do, that's great. And if they
Notice he clearly doesn't know football because he should have answered what y'all know. He skipped that, but okay, go off, sir.
won't, then the man on my left is going to finish him off.
Is there a time frame in your mind?
What?
Is there a time frame in your mind for?
I mean, it happens quickly. The problem is every time I mention a time frame, for instance, I see, we've been doing this for a few months. Vietnam lasted 19 years. Korea lasted 8 years. Afghanistan lasted many years. They were all many, many years, and we're into it for a few months. And I read about you people like you. What's taking
This is the war that was supposed to last, a week? We're 90 days deep. Okay.
so long? But we're in it. We lost between two wars, two big wars, Venezuela and Iran. We lost 13 souls, 13 great people. Met the parents, great people. And it's a terrible thing, but 13. If you look at the war casualties and the deaths in wars from Vietnam and all that, they lost hundreds of thousands of people in numerous of these wars. We're very cognizant of that. We want to lose very few. We want very few to be injured. We're very careful. But war is war. War's dangerous, but we've lost 13.
Look to your left and to the right. Why Marco Rubio and Pete, their suits are awful and they're misfitted.
So the Democrats took an ad putting in the 13 people that were lost. And when you look at hundreds of thousands of people that were lost in the Middle East, Iraq, all the different wars we were in, we have done an amazing job. With that being said, I hate to lose 13. I hate to lose one, but we've been very capable. And when you think of it, we took over Venezuela in one day. We have done a similar job.
One day versus 3 months, and there's no end in sight.
We said, well, give them a little chance at the request of somebody that we greatly respect from Pakistan, the field marshal and the prime minister. They've been great. They asked us, would we pause the war for a little while because they'd like to think so. We'll do that. But we had them beat. They're, no better now. We could close it out very quickly. If we can do it in a different way, that'd be good. If we get everything we want, but we could close that out very, very quickly, and we may have to. I don't think so, but we may have to.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know how you try to be indifferent? I just can't be indifferent with this. I want to be. So this here is Thomas Massie. He's the person that got primaried. So he will lose his seat in January of 2007. So let's just see what's going on. And I think also you will see Jamie Raskins. They're talking about just American citizens being able to be stopped, which again, if you're talking about illegals, I don't feel no type of way. If you're illegal, you are illegal. If you're an American citizen, then you should not be stopped. But let's go ahead and see what Thomas is going to say. He's also the person that partnered with Marjorie Taylor Greene, NTG, and then Lauren Boebert. All of them got together to get the Epstein files released, which I think is what probably cost him his seat in Congress.
Opposition to this clean reauthorization of FISA, and in particular to this short-term reauthorization of FISA. A short-term infringement of the Constitution is still an infringement of the Constitution. How long has the Senate had to act on this? Is this an emergency? Is this something we haven't known about? No, I appreciate the work of my dear colleague and chairman of our committee, Mr. Jordan, on this issue for so many years of trying to get warrants before Americans are.
When he says Jordan, he's talking about Jim Jordan, that
upon. And in fact, my colleague Zoe Lofgren and I on the other side of the aisle, over a decade ago, were successful in passing an amendment to FISA during the appropriations process that would have prohibited funds to be used to use the FISA program without a warrant. What happened to that amendment? It died in the Senate. They've had over a decade to work on this. And what does FISA stand for? Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. This, when it was originated, was never meant to be used to surveil Americans or to search through databases for their.
So when they're saying foreign, think about Tulsi Gilbert that retired or left the office this week, and also they're really talking about like Palantir and.
Information. It was intended for foreign intelligence, but now it's used on Americans without a warrant. FISA databases have been used to query political activists, journalists, members of Congress, and their staff, random romantic interests, FBI agents. And we're don't worry, it's not being maybe that's because they changed the definition of a query. And so we can't use the program anymore and abuse it. It's not a query by their definition, so they don't have to tell you when they violated the law. They're interpreting it differently. As a matter of fact, there's a secret interpretation of how this law is used by the FBI. So secret that you got to go 3 floors underground to read about it. We can't tell the American public exactly how they're being spied on. But
So when he's talking about 3 grounds underneath. He's talking about like a skill, but also a lot of the data is unavailable for general public. So when they go in, there's only so much
But it's a particularly nefarious way. I think it's also unconstitutional. It's also unconstitutional. So for this, I
Gentleman reserves.
Mr. Weir.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank my friend from Kentucky for his always unswerving leadership on behalf of constitutional values, privacy, the civil rights, and civil liberties of the people. The question here is, how are we actually going to move the Speaker, who seems to be immersed in such a which doesn't seem to be living up to its traditional role in trying to reconcile our foreign policy and security with. So we're saying, let's give it a few weeks now. I hope that Chairman Jordan will echo my endorsement of us really getting together to have bipartisan negotiations and compromise on this. This is not a partisan problem on all sides of this, on both sides of the aisle. The vast majority of the Democrats want to make sure that we have a program that protects the privacy rights and civil rights. No, we do not trust Kash Patel to have conversations with Tulsi Gabbard. As a successful substitute for the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. And I'm sure you don't trust whoever you would liken to Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard on our side. That's fine. That's the partisan politics. That's why we want this to rest on some level of constitutional principle that across party lines. So let's take a few weeks to have serious, meaningful discussions. So we say we will the speaker will work with us. We see him conducting negotiations in the middle of votes on the House floor. How about we all get together the way that Congress is supposed to and have meaningful discussion and dialogue? And let's do the same thing with people in the Senate. I challenge the members of the Senate to stand up for the American people to believe it, but we simply cannot leave it up to Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump to enforce our civil rights and civil liberties for us. That's not going to work. They are partisan actors. They've proven themselves to be partisan actors, and they don't make any bones about that. They're unashamed of it. Fine. Then we need to put principles in place that are going to protect the American people. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
My friend and colleague on the Judiciary Committee and also on the Rules Committee. Chip Roy has labored tirelessly to defend the constitutional rights of his constituents in Texas and all Americans. And I would like to yield him 3 minutes.
Gentleman's recognized.
I thank my friend from Kentucky. It's nice to have the gentleman from Maryland on the pro-warrant side of this conversation this go-around. I would note that there were a significant amount of abuses by the previous president with respect to the amount of focus on the American people using FISA and the abuses therein. I hope we can achieve a bipartisan... consensus here on how we reform this, regardless of who's in the White House, regardless of who has control of Congress. We need to do that in defense of the Constitution. The reason that I rise in opposition, is because this body, this House, spoke, and we sent a bill to the Senate that has reforms that our Intel chairman worked on, that a number of people worked on. We had reforms on there to stop the central bank digital currency. We sent it to the Senate, and they didn't even give it a vote. They didn't even put it on the floor for consent. They just said, stuff it, we're going to send you a 45-day extension. By the way, 45 days takes us to June 12th, which some of us several weeks ago said, let's do a 60-day extension and let's sit down and work, like the gentleman from Maryland said. That's what we ought to do. We should go to committee. We should have a full voting debate in committee. We should have... And then we should have a debate about warrants. We should have a debate about protecting the American people from the abuse of power by government. My colleague from Texas, my friend over here, Mr. Cloud, he came to a meeting and said, the international community never walked in saying, we have all this power to collect information. Oh, we're going to give it back. That never happens. The only thing that happens is if we ask, is if we ask the people represent us. The question that I would ask, Mr. Speaker, of order.
House meeting order.
Thank you, Speaker. The question I ask is how much warrantless surveillance, how much spying American citizens should we allow? How much is acceptable? Because right now, we know for sure there is warrantless collection of information on the American people. We have other issues we've got to deal with. The kill switch. Surveillance in automobiles, central bank digital currency, tracking what we spend, how we spend it, what we can buy. This body ought to be defending the people of the United States against the power of government being used against us. Under no circumstances should we allow technology to breach the wall that the Fourth Amendment created, that the government is not supposed to go through to get into your personal business, get into your home, to look at your information, and to breach the privacy that you guarantee to not have the Fourth Amendment break. I rise in opposition to this. We should move forward and actually try to get actual debate on this, but I do not accept what the Senate is doing to step over what the House did earlier. The Senate should take up that bill and pass it. I yield back.
Order for you to receive a signal, whatever you're watching goes back. So you get a signal to your device, and the device is talking back to either a node, fiber, or a head end, which that's kind of up there. But if you get it, you get it. Just know that if something's coming into your home and giving you data and giving you movies and giving you programs, then your information of what you're watching goes back to a central location. So, and I don't really, I mean, at this point, you got Netflix, you have Disney, everybody has some type of program that they're absolutely watching. So we got another one. And I know that this is a lot. I will say, like, take this in bits, take this in, be mindful. Like, it's so much that's going on. Steve Bannon talked about their policy of flooding the zone. So you getting so much information, it feels overwhelming. Take information that is pertinent to you, and the rest I'll just have to say, like old school, if it don't apply, let it fly, right? Okay, so let's go here and see what my good fellow's saying. And he's going to talk about I believe hospitals and what's going on as far as the budget and how that is affecting citizens, because you have to think about the big beautiful bill that passed. A lot of the cuts are not going to really happen until after the midterms, but people are now understanding, which Black people read 2025, Project 2025. is these folks that I really feel like a lot of white people thought that they were going to make the choices and decisions that were only going to affect us and not them. And now they understand that they're being affected too. So let's just see what the good fellows got to say.
Stolen from us through cuts to Medicaid. What dollars stolen?
Next decade.
$1 trillion stolen from us through cuts to Medicaid. What does that mean? It means that this hospital is going to close. High likelihood of closure is policy speak for this hospital is going to close. Not just randomly, because Representative Kane Jr. voted to cut $1 trillion from Medicaid, along with all of the Republicans in Congress and Trump in the White House. And why did they cut $1 trillion from Medicaid? Why is this hospital going to close? So that they could give trillions.
So think about the cuts from Doge and then the BBB, the big beautiful bill.
Billions of dollars in tax handouts to the richest people in the history of the world. Why? So they can buy another golden yacht to sail to Epstein's Island?
Concerned about starting the typical healthcare in your district?
Watch his smirk and watch how he laughs, which is absolutely, it's infuriating. And it's also super sad. Like you see his, the eyebrows and the perched lips and he's very haughty. His face is looking very haughty, in my opinion.
What about closing hospitals or nursing homes or clinics, something like that? Any comment? Dang it all, sir. It's not funny that people are going to die. Excuse me. You voted for it. You don't say anything at all.
So you think it is a good outcome that Meta gets to save?
So this is Elizabeth Warren.
$3 billion, Amazon gets $4 billion, and to pay for it, millions of Americans lose their health care? That's your view as the CEO of the IRS?
I don't see the two of them correlated, ma'am.
Well, they're correlated in terms of those tax cuts were paid for by pushing people off their health care. Did you not follow that?
Those tax cuts, 30 million seniors, your seniors.
About $3 billion for Meta, paid for by people being pushed off their health care. And you're the one who said, really good outcome.
It is a really good outcome for the American public here.
That's
The tax, what was enacted in the Working Family Tax Act.
Values of the Trump administration loud and clear.
I'm a veteran. I have 18 family members that have served this country. Service is something I know a little bit about, and that's something that David Valadao, Vince Fong, and Donald Trump know nothing about. They have no idea what it is to care for another person. I was a military brat, so I know what government health care is like. As a child, I used to go to the base hospital.
18 people, and I can say both my grandfathers, my dad, my stepdad, all of my uncles on my father's side, all served. So this to me is atrocious. This is atrocious.
As an adult, when I was in the Army, I'd go to the Army hospital, and now I go to the VA. I know that the government can provide very good health care. It's perfectly possible. There are countries around the world that do this. But in our country, we're told.
The only reason why we don't have universal health care is because of racism. Like, it just is what it is. White people will rather die from an illness than to allow for everybody to be able to get health care, because that's what that is.
No, it can't happen. The reason it can't happen is because the bankers, bosses, and billionaires don't make money off of it. They don't understand that it's a service, not a commodity.
And this is right in line with what Project 2025 said it was going to do and what was always about, and also right in line with.
So 2025 hard, because I feel like it is absolutely necessary for us to have that to be able to kind of walk back some of the things that have happened. The next clip, I'm literally going to tell you, I think that this is the worst thing that I heard. It was this next clip is absolutely atrocious. What Tom Holland is addressing is the hunger strike that is going on in some of the ICE facilities. Again, I don't think that immigration is something that is a Black people thing. I will say, as far as just humanity, not giving people good food or giving people food with worms in it, denying medical access, that's ridiculous. That's beyond the pale. Like, you don't even have to like concede with immigration. There is a level of just human rights that
because someone goes on a hunger strike. As a matter of fact, if it gets bad enough and the physicians feel like they're putting themselves in extreme danger, medical danger, then we'll force feed them.
White House border czar Tom Homan said
we will force feed them. Like what? In America in 2026?
force feed detainees at a New Jersey detention center who are 5 days into a hunger strike. Delaney Hall detainees started a hunger strike to protest allegedly poor conditions in the facility.
And I believe Delaney is in New Jersey.
Democratic officials say food, medical care, and legal proceedings are all unacceptable at Delaney. The Department of Homeland Security says ICE, quote, has higher detention standards than most U.S. prisons that hold actual U.S. citizens. Since the start of the government's 2026 fiscal year last October, 29 detainees nationwide have died. The figure is highly higher than the record 28 deaths recorded in fiscal 2004, according to government data.
Deaths in cuffs and ice is a fraction of any state prison or facility. A fraction.
Representative Bob Menendez rejected the idea of force-feeding detainees.
Thank you, Senator Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the question is also about coordination and efficiencies. Acting Secretary Sondland, the Trump administration's America's Talent Strategy report from last year stated, and I'm going to quote from it, America's workforce development programs are spread across multiple federal agencies, funding streams and statutory staff, resulting in a system that is inefficient and inefficient. The Trump administration is at the same time taking education programs administered currently by one agency and spreading them now across multiple federal agencies and multiple grant systems. How is that going to simplify coordination, including anything for states and schools?
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate the conversations in our offices being put together.
as far as the question you're answering, we believe that this is the most efficient way for our federal dollars in the WIOA programs to get out to states. What we found is that a lot of the stakeholders of the states work with the Department of Education and work with the Department of Labor through the interagency agreement under the Economy Act. Our systems at the Department of Labor are very sophisticated, already dealing with these stakeholders, and we're working with the Education Department to help them administer them.
I'm going to give you another
that dollar
opportunity
amount can
to
get out.
address one of these, but let's be clear. This has nothing to do with
The fact that he's talking so fast, I have to slow it down. My grandmother used to always say, never trust a fast talker, but let's keep going.
improving schools or helping students and families. Roughly 2/3 of special education students spend 80% of the school day in a regular classroom. Nearly 20% of American Indian and Alaska Native students are served under the IDEA Act. Yet this administration is scattering these programs across multiple federal agencies and creating just what you are arguing plagues the workforce development system. Now, onto
So look at the bottom where I said the Senate appropriation. So they hold the purse. These are the people that hold the purse. They're the people that should be able and should be dishing out the money and work.
another issue. I'm also deeply concerned that Department of Labor does not have the expertise or capacity to administer many of the programs that are being moved there. More than 1,000 school districts serving Native American students and students from military families receive critical funding through the Impact Aid program. Does the Department of Labor have any experience with the Impact Aid program or its grant system through which the school districts apply for that critical funding? Yes or no?
I can tell you for all the programs that we have IAA agreements with the Department of Education, the Department of Labor staff working with the Department of Education has the systems to administer these grants more efficiently and faster than before. We have newer
No,
technology.
you're incorrect on that account. And in fact, Impact Aid school districts have been saying you created a special interface for us to request and get the Impact Aid in the Department of Education. Now you propose to substitute it with something that is not customized for that purpose. So the Department of Labor just doesn't have any expertise in using critical systems that are school districts serving military families.
I know this is so off topic, but her highlights are horrible. This bald head back here is killing me, and I don't know what's going on with this beard and mustache. Like, these are our
Native American students are relying on. I asked Secretary McMahon this question 3 weeks ago. Are you aware that the Department of Labor Inspector General has consistently noted challenges that Department of Labor has in administering its own existing grant portfolio?
I am in contact with the Inspector General to make sure that all of the recommendations from the office are reasonably dealt with. And all I know from the current systems that are administering and actually moving some of the Perkins 5 and WIOA to money under the Octay office have been going smoothly. States have been getting their money.
You know he's lying, right?
States have been able to apply and come together into one plan. And we're seeing
But
that
earlier
across the
this
country.
year, on the point that I made about the Inspector General, they said this about the Department of Labor's top management of performance challenges, and I quote, navigating shared program management with the Department of Education may present operational challenges for the Employment and Training Administration. As identified in previous audits, ETA is challenged in effectively managing its grant portfolio. The OIG has consistently found issues associated with grant oversight, performance results, and ensuring grant funds are used effectively to achieve outcomes.
We've been administering the TTE programs. And we've